Hi, grade 7 students. Eid Mubarak for each one of you. This week, our writing lesson is about narrative poetry. We will start by identifying the meaning of narrative poem, distinguishing between the types, then determining the structure, reaching the way of writing a narrative poem to be able to compose one of your own. A narrative poem is a poem that tells a story and has the elements of a story. Often, narrative poems have a rhyme. What does that mean? A narrative poem is like a short story that includes the elements of a story such as plot, characters, and setting. Its main characteristics are that it has one or more characters who are the people who take part in the action, the setting that is the time and place of the action, the conflict that is the problem or the struggle, a series of events, and a resolution. The story of Cinderella is an example of a narrative poem. It's about a beautiful girl who lived happily with her family, but the fate bore down upon the pearl, taking the sweet smile immediately. The lovely mother passed away, left her at a very young age. All happiness went away. Suffering replaced such cruel cage. Stepmother and sisters exploited all day long. Tears and sadness written out in a sorrow song. Such the proverb said, "There's always a light in the darkness." The young handsome prince led the fate to the sea of happiness. So this poem is telling us about the life of Cinderella and the events that changed her life. There are many types of narrative poems. The most common types are epic, ballad, and dramatic poetry. Epic is the oldest kind. They are long poems that tell about crucial interactions, usually battles or other power struggles between human groups, divinities, or between humans and gods. Most famous are Homer's The Iliad and the Odyssey. The ballad focuses on the adventures of relatively minor people, for example, Robin Hood. Dramatic poetry set in the form of plays, for example, William Shakespeare. In order to write a successful narrative poetry, it should include these three qualities. It should tell the story of a hero facing a challenge. It uses poetic conventions such as stanza, meter, and rhyme. It uses imagery, sound devices, and figurative language. A narrative poem is divided into three main parts. The opening stanza, which introduces your hero and creates a context for his or her story. The middle stanza that shows the plot, and you can divide it into two or more stanzas depending on the main points you want to talk about. The closing stanza, which shows how the story ends and creates a final impression of your hero. To write a narrative poem, you should first decide on the theme. When you decide on the theme and topic, start writing as if you're writing an essay. Brainstorm your ideas. Use literary devices such as simile, metaphor, idioms, etc. Don't forget to include the elements of the story, the setting, the characters, the plot, which is the beginning, middle, and end, and conflict, which is the problem, and finally the resolution. Here are some tips to guide you on how to write an organized narrative poem. First, decide on a story you wish to tell. Then, break the story into three distinct parts: beginning, middle, and end. Next, write down a bullet list of story pieces that will be told in each segment of the poem. Make sure you write down important details that will make the story come alive. When it comes to the structure of the poem, narrative poems can be written in a number of forms, but the most common structure is to use a rhyming pattern. Narrative poems can also be written in free verse or blank verse format. Stop and read the poem out loud every once in a while. Count the syllables. Look for rhyming patterns. Dress the story up by using poetic devices. You will be given an outline to read that will help you form and organize your poem. Fill in the rough draft paper with answers. After answering the questions, join the answers to form a poem. The challenge is real this week. Who will be the winner of the last certificate? Be creative and enjoy the process of writing. Have a blessed week and stay safe. Don't forget to submit on time.